Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So I am not feeling good. I had a tingle in my throat yesterday. I do not feel good at all. I had to get medicine today, and I feel like I am getting sick. I don't know what it is, but hopefully it do get better this week, and hopefully so. So it's probably the perfect week since the Eagles are off this week, and definitely going to have as much content out as possible this week. There's no doubt about it. Sick or not, but just want to let you guys know I haven't really been feeling good since last night whatsoever. But there are updates for the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to go over a couple things that I think are really important that should be brought to your attention. So let's get straight into the news.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? Hope it's having a fantastic day today. So, number one seed, Eagles win the NFC East. And there are some things I definitely want to talk about going into somewhat next year. But at the same time, like kind of looking at the roster right now, that I might have changed my mind on some things, okay? For the good, for the bad, we'll see what happens. First, I want to go over the cornerback situation, which we kind of been talking about the past several weeks, because now Big Play Slay is still on this team for next year in 23, and then he is a free agent after 23 by the 2024 season. So we have him for one more year. Bradbury's a free agent after this year. Avonte Maddox is just made of glass right now, and still I think the Eagles need to have add a couple bodies at cornerback. There's no doubt about it. But are the Eagles going to have the same secondary next year? Probably not. I'm starting to change my mind on some things, and when it comes to Big Play Slay, he has been playing as Big Play Slay. The issue I've been having with him the past several weeks, and it's not that he's a bad player, it's not that anything like that. There's just sometimes where I think part of it is usage, part of it is not shadowing him on the number one receiver. When you just line Slay up on one side of the field the whole entire game, you give him really nothing to do. And not saying he takes plays off, but it comes to a point where you got to give him something. I mean, you gotta do something with him, because then otherwise he's got no motivation to really be on the field at all. When you're not lining him up on the best guy or shadowing the best guy on the field. It's kind of like what they did week 2 against Justin Jefferson. Just give him something to where, you lock him on that one guy and he does a really good job. When you line him up 8 yards off the ball and you just want him to react on the other side of the field, he doesn't really do well. So, I mean, the past several weeks, he's been giving up some easy receptions and just hasn't looked good, man. It just really hasn't. So, Bradbury's a free agent, and I'm not saying Slay's not a bad player, but do the Eagles need to make a change next year? That's going to be the big question. So Bradbury becoming a free agent is a big one as of right now. Now, could there be an example of Slay actually getting traded by next year? I don't know if they release him, what's the dead money or whatever that. I haven't looked at any of that. But are we starting to change our minds now? Do the Eagles sign James Bradbury, go out in the draft next year and get your number one corner? I think the Eagles have to get younger at that position. There's no doubt. Slay can't play for a long time. I said even after beginning of this year, I said, Slay could definitely play for another few years. And he might be able to, but are we sure that he could play for another few years? I don't know. I think it somewhat is usage. If you don't use Slay the right way, it's just not going to work. You don't have him shadowing the number one guy. It's not going to work. You have him more of a reaction type cornerback where he has got to sit 8 yards off the ball while someone's running 100% speed at him, kind of like the second Washington game that we had when we weren't undefeated anymore. He let, Terry McLaurin's running 100% speed at him, and he can't do nothing about it until he breaks his route. So I don't know why Gannon has put this defense in certain positions this year, and that was just a really bad loss on both sides of the football, just really bad. But when you sit Slay on the opposite side of the field all game and not shadow the best guy offensively, I feel like not only does he take plays off, I'm not saying he does that on purpose, but I feel like you're giving him no motivation to do much in that game that you're playing. I don't like him reacting. I like him lining up on the best guy, man-to-man, being disruptive, being physical off the line, because man-to-man, he's one of the best. So if you're not going to do that, and hopefully they change their ways in the playoffs a little bit and get him to shadow the best guy. Against the Giants, they really didn't have to do that because the Giants really don't have anybody at receiver that's any good. But at the same time, Kenny Galladay just, when Gannon played, kind of reacted and kind of pushed everybody off the bend don't break defense and kind of sat everybody back. I mean, it was an easy touchdown. It was a good catch by Kenny Galladay, which he hasn't done much of anything, $72 million and a free agent acquisition that can't do a damn thing for that team that was supposed to be their number one receiver. Slay gives up a touchdown in the back of the end zone. Stuff like that. Like is Slay losing a step in his game? So I think what's going to happen is the Eagles could. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I feel like, in my own opinion, the Eagles could trade Slay. And Bradbury could be re-signed, okay? And I think the Eagles are going to go out and draft the number one cornerback in this draft. I think they could do it. They have the 10th overall pick. I think, whether they have to move up a couple spots if they really have to. The Eagles have 2 first-round picks, which I definitely think they're going to use both of those picks. There's no doubt about it. I don't think, because you're paying so many players, if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's getting paid, Jalen Hurts is getting paid, Edwards, Javon Hargrave. They might even give Fletcher Cox a 1-year deal. It might actually happen, so don't be surprised. I honestly think that they could re-sign Bradbury and sign that number one cornerback. I honestly think it could happen. I don't know how much Slay has left in the tank, but I don't know if I think part of it has been usage from Gannon, how he uses Slay. I mean, not and kind of putting him in failed situations when it comes to how many yards are these corners off the ball from some of these receivers. And then there's some games where Slay is just not looking like himself because either they're not shadowing Slay on the number one guy, or 2, Slay is just took plays off and hasn't really looked too good. So I'm starting to change my mind about it a little bit at a time, but maybe the playoffs will change my mind a little bit. I don't know, but I think Bradbury could be the decision of them re-signing him, and Slay might walk. Slay might get traded. Like I said, I don't know the dead money. I don't know anything. I didn't look up any of that stuff. Which I probably should have, but, we'll find out later on because we're still, these guys are still on the roster right now, and we're still fighting in the playoffs, home field advantage, and great things are happening right now in Philadelphia with, first seed and a week off, getting some guys healthy. So I want to see what your input's going to be on, would you actually trade Slay and keep Bradbury and then draft that number one guy? Do you think Slay has fallen off? Is it more Slay, or is it more Gannon's usage of Slay, or do you think it's a little bit of both? I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit on that, which I think is really important going forward. Now, Jalen Hurts, obviously, this guy just never takes a day off. Okay, so not only did Sirianni give the coaches and the players the day off on Monday, but Hurts didn't take the day off, guys. He went in with Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni, and Shane Steichen to watch film at noon. And that's just, Hurts is taking every bit of advantage of the time that they have. And Hurts is just going to get better. Now, we do know that Hurts' shoulder did hurt during that game. So they limited him. They handicapped him. They didn't have any play designs with him running the ball or nothing. Taking away that read option. They took away the read option from Jalen Hurts. They took away his legs just a little bit, and the offense looked very vanilla, and that's part of the reason why it did. But glad Hurts is getting the rest, and hopefully his shoulder is a lot better in a couple weeks. But this is just an example of this guy didn't take one day down in the offseason. This guy took every advantage that he has given. When time is given to Jalen Hurts, he takes advantage of it. Getting these guys prepared and ready and preparing himself for a big playoff game in Philadelphia in the divisional round. So we used to see the videos and pictures in the offseason of this past year. We see these videos and pictures, and Jalen Hurts is doing all this stuff, but how much time is he giving into the offseason? How much time is he giving now with having this extra week off and having the first seed? Jalen Hurts is taking advantage of every bit of time that he has. He eats, sleeps, and breathes this sport, and I'm just, that makes me feel really good hearing that. The guy didn't take the day off, didn't even go home. He went there at noon to go over all the tape, and it's a really good thing to see. So Hurts is going to be on himself and on the rest of these guys the rest of the week, and couldn't be any happier about it. So I thought that was really cool to hear as of right now. As of right now, we have the 2020. I know this isn't really going to matter to some people, but yes, we have the Eagles 2023 opponents, which are very interesting. So the home games, besides our divisional games, you're going to have Cardinals, Bills, 49ers, Dolphins, Vikings, which I think is great because you have a lot of the you have a lot of the good teams here, especially the Bills and the Cardinals. We'll see what they look like next year. The Bills and 49ers are huge. You're going to have both of those teams at home next year, which is huge for the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are going to get a hard schedule next year. There's no doubt. The NFC East is going to get a hard schedule next year. The Eagles definitely being that number one seed. They're going to have the probably hardest schedule on the in the NFL as of right now. Away, you're going to have Patriots, Rams, Jets, Bucks, Seahawks, and Chiefs. And obviously, Chiefs are a big one. You're going to be away at the Chiefs, so that's going to be a tough game right there. Bucks probably won't have Tom Brady. Jets, obviously, they're still trying to figure their stuff out. The Rams are still trying to figure their stuff out. Obviously, cap space and no draft capital, and Sean McVay might be out. The Patriots, see what they do next year. So, I mean, I think it's a tough schedule, but having most of the big teams at home is really good. And obviously obviously having the Chiefs away, that's going to be a tough one. But most of the hard opponents are going to be at home, which is great. So can't really complain about it whatsoever with the schedule. I thought people would like to see it because I totally forgot usually when the regular season does end that they come out with the opponents for next year, which would be awesome. But other than that, guys, it's pretty much it. We talked about Bradbury. We talked about Big Play Slay. What do you think about both of them? What decision would you make after this year? Would you keep both of them? Would you get rid of Slay? Would you draft a guy? Do you think what is Slay's issue right now? Is it more both Gannon and usage with Slay, or is it more just Slay's just hasn't been playing good the past several weeks, or is it both? And honestly, Jalen Hurts is just not taking a day off, which is fantastic. Want this team to be prepared, man, because it was a sloppy offense, but we knew what was taken out of that offense, and they were limiting Jalen Hurts. They were handicapping him pretty much in that game against the Giants, and I think they took advantage of it, and Hurts really pushed himself to play. He pushed the coaches and forced them to make him play. Because he's like, he needed to be in this game. I think Minshew was supposed to be the starter this past week. I think it was 100% true, and Hurts really pushed the play. He was in some pain with his shoulder, but like I said, a couple throws that were bad, but I thought he played okay, and the offense just needs more work. And when you take away that read option from Jalen Hurts, when there's open lanes throughout the offensive line and he's not running, you know what Jalen Hurts does when those open lanes, they open up and he's just running through them. You didn't see that in that game against the Giants because they didn't want him to do that. And Jalen Hurts had to promise these coaches he was going to protect himself as much as possible. So, other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy your week. We'll have more content. We'll have some live streams to be ready to go. You guys be safe, and we'll see you on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow us. Peace out, guys. Peace.